longer working. The whole Harvard thing is interesting too. So a lot of the universities capitulated to the demands of the Trump administration related to DEI, related to protests, related to wearing masks and so forth and so on. But Harvard was like, nah, because the Trump administration was like, we're withholding we're withholding these grants, we're withholding this money, and it's like $300 million or $500 million or whatever the number is. Um, if you don't, do what we want you to do related to, and some of it is even what they teach, certain classes. That's such a huge overreach, if you ask me. Like telling a university what classes they can teach, like that's crazy. But a lot of them went with it, you know. But Harvard was like, nah. And I could understand out of all the universities, Harvard being the one that says nah, because they have like a major endowment. Like they get a lot of money from people who were students in the past. They get a lot of money every year. So they probably don't even need that money. So, but now Trump is threatening them with their tax exempt status. And that might actually have an impact on them. I don't know that these damn universities should have tax exempt status anyways. I mean, like, they're basically businesses anyways. They're making a lot of money. And then they get money from the government and then they get tax exempt status. Bruh, like next to the insurance business, what I was saying earlier, a church or a school is probably your second best bet for a business. Winning, 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 winning. Although I still don't agree. I think that, I understand why you would have grants and stuff like that going to these universities. I don't think that it should be tuitions. I think that these schools should be free. I think that people should be able to get an education without going into debt and owing the government forever. So with it's complicated, but the way that the government is intertwined with the universities is nefarious, I think, the way that it is. But it doesn't have to be that way. It could be that, in another way where they're just subsidizing the education of the public, because everybody benefits from people being educated. It's we're talking about, they keep on saying China, 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 and it's like, how are we going to compete with these other countries when we're not educating our people? They're not going to they're not going to have the skills to compete on a global stage. So that's one way we can look at it and go ahead and pay for that, because it benefits us, benefits everybody for these people to be educated, but at the same time, these schools have become corporations. They just make money and they're charging the students for everything, parking. They charge you for everything and they're making a killing. So, but at the same time, the government trying to tell them what to teach, I don't think that's right. Like that needs to be separated. It's a private organization. They want to attract students to their school, and one of the ways that they attract students to the school is by the professors, and what the professors teach, and it's stuff that the students are interested in. So you're getting in the way of that business, doing what providing the service that they are there for. Yeah, so I don't agree with that. But Harvard is like, nah, we're not feeling that. Hopefully that'll have a reverberating effect, and it'll, spread throughout the other universities. And hopefully Harvard can lead the way with, not caving in to the Trump administration. Let's read this. It says, Harvard University received an email letter from Trump administration last Friday that included a series of demands about hiring, admission, and curriculum. So onerous that school officials decided they had no choice but to take on the White House. The university announced its intentions on Monday, setting off a titanic battle between one of the country's most prestigious universities and a U.S. president. Then, almost immediately, came a frantic call from a Trump official. The April 11th letter from the White House Task Force on Anti-Semitism, this official told Harvard, should not have been sent and was unauthorized, two people familiar with the matter said. Yeah, and the whole argument about the anti-Semitism is like, just because someone is supporting Palestinians doesn't mean that they are being anti-Semitic. You know, just because they don't support a war doesn't mean that they are anti-Semitic. It's one of those conflations that they have been doing for the longest. And people love to simplify things and, you know, make it one side or the other, black or white. But in real life, things aren't that. You know, you have to get in the weeds and you have to dig through the details to really understand what the hell is going on. And people just don't want to take the time for it. And then they also just go by what these officials say. It's like, oh, they're being anti-Semitic. Oh, okay. Then lock them up. You know, beat them. Deport them. This has been making its round.
Yeah. Just woke up.